Hello, scrufftards, freaks, geeks, and internet strange and weird degenerates. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And in this video, we will explore how and why the war in Ukraine has proven a centuries-old truth that Swedish hardware is Russia's nightmare. And we're starting off with the Archer artillery system. If it's one thing this war has proven, it is that artillery with shoot and scoot capability survives to a higher degree than older towed artillery system, and the Archer is the most effective shoot and scoot artillery system available, save for perhaps the Boxer system. As you can see here, it just drove straight up to its position and got ready to fire within 14 seconds. And first round launched in 23 seconds. It can pack itself back together in the same amount of time and drive on. This is a very capable artillery system and considered by many to be the most advanced and most capable shoot and scoot mobile howitzer available on the market. Next up we have the Swedish main battle tank, the Strv 122, a Leopard 2 A5 essentially, with some heavy armor upgrades, notably to the turret and the top of the turret. Top armor is heavily protected, so is the rest of the turret. And the Ukrainians themselves has said that this is a tank that is best suited for offensive action. All other Leopard 2s, they are accurate, that you want to fire at the enemy at range and snipe the enemy, but not so with the Strv 122. The armor makes this a excellent offensive tank, an assault tank that you drive up to the enemy. The Ukrainians say they drive within 400 meters of the enemy with this tank and open fire. But other Leopard 2s, they try and stay at range and engage at the distance, but not with the Strv 122. It is a tank that wants to be offensive, it wants to be aggressive, and it wants to drive straight up to the enemy and open fire at extremely close range. And next up is, of course, the Swedish infantry fighting vehicle, the Strf 9040 Charlie, also known as CV90. Incredible protection as well for this vehicle. It has survived everything the Russians have thrown at it: drones, anti-tank guided missiles, mines, enemy tanks. This vehicle survives anything more or less. Ukraine has received 51 in total, and after 1.5 years of warfare, Ukraine has lost only 8 of these vehicles. And beyond excellent protection, it also has an extremely powerful main gun, the Bofors 40mm, and as you can see here on the other images, this gun fires pretty large rounds downrange, and you can even compare it to the Bradley's 25mm. I mean, there's no contest which of these guns dish out the most damage. And this gun, the 40mm Bofors, can actually engage tanks, T-72s, T-90s, especially with the flanking shots, and can score penetrating hits. And with 3 to 4 rounds, you will have taken out an enemy tank with this weapon. This vehicle, the CV90, is a beast on the battlefield, and the Russians have, like I said, thrown everything in their arsenal at it, and it just keeps coming back for more. And I have a couple of videos on the topic, so I'll try and remember to provide links down below to these videos. Why the CV90 will dominate in Ukraine, that's a video I made back in 2023. One of the first videos I ever made actually for the channel. So If you check that out, you will learn some history of the CV90 and also why I at the time thought it was gonna be a dominating factor on the front lines in this war. So please check those videos out. And on the topic of CV90s, this year 2025, Ukraine will receive the latest version of the CV90, namely the CV9035NL. It has not a 40mm Bofors gun, but a 35mm chain gun. Doesn't pack the same punch, but carries a bit more ammunition, and it is more than capable of dealing with anything on the battlefield that isn't a tank. And should it come across a tank, it will carry 2 Spike anti-tank guided missiles that can deal with anything in the Russian arsenal. This is a very, very capable vehicle. So if you thought the CV90-40 was badass, wait until you see this beast on the battlefield, and they will arrive later this year. And so far I believe it is announced that 40 of them will be taken into service in 2025 for the Ukrainians, and when they arrive it will be felt on the front line, just as the Russians took note that 50 Strf 9040 all of a sudden showed up. And on the topic of Bofors guns, Ukraine will also receive the Tridon Mark II anti-aircraft gun from Sweden. It is the same gun as on the CV90-40, the 40mm Bofors, and this is a gun specifically designed to take out aerial targets. It's gonna come equipped with the 3P specialized ammunition. It is programmable ammunition that can take out scores of drones with a couple of salvos. It can also easily track and engage helicopters with the 3P ammunition. And should they come across an armored target, they can, with the programmable ammunition, switch over to engage armored targets or targets hiding behind cover and what have you. So this is specifically a unit that will deal with drones and helicopters and even aircraft. And the 3P ammunition allows the gun to deal with these threats in various ways, as well as having the capability of dealing with APCs and the weak-skinned BMPs. Ukraine also operates several BV vehicles, various versions of them. BV stands for bandvagn, which means in this context tracked vehicle. These vehicles can't be stopped by anything in the terrain. They will plow through whatever you throw at them: snow, mud, water, thick forests, rocky ground, mountains, hills, steep cliffs. You can't stop these. Basically, you need a volcano and a river of lava, maybe, that could potentially prevent these vehicles from moving across territory. And Ukraine has utilized them for important operations, notably at Krynki, where Ukraine relied on a couple of BVs to supply the 300 Marines that held Krynki. They used them to get across the Dnieper River, despite all the drone activity in the area. And with these vehicles, they managed to supply the Marines. They managed to equip them with ammunition, and they also managed to extract wounded with the BVs, as they are amphibious. They happily swam across the Dnieper despite Russian activity, supplying the Marines in Krynki and extracting the wounded. And incredible machines. No terrain feature can stop these. Like I said, maybe a volcano is capable of, but it wouldn't surprise me if a BV can actually plow straight through a river of lava. Incredible machines. And then we have one of the latest additions to the Ukrainian armed forces, the Swedish PBV-302, an APC back from the 60s. At the time, it was used as an IFV as well. Built to outperform the American M113, and after a month or two on the front line, within Kursk, Ukraine has deployed these to Kursk. What we have learned is that the Ukrainians find that these are machines that are incredibly useful to traverse difficult terrain, and they are also much better armored than the M113. And no surprise, this is what the Swedish criteria back in the day was. They wanted a vehicle that could outperform the M113 in traversing difficult terrain and also protecting the crew. So here we now have frontline combat experience telling us that it is indeed a better vehicle than the M113. And the Ukrainians have used it extensively in Kursk to supply frontline troops and to medevac wounded out of the combat area. A success story in its own right. Unfortunately, Ukraine is now falling back out of Kursk, but in the short time that the PBV-302s saw service within Russia, they have excelled in their intended role, in their intended use, and we will probably see them defending the border between Kursk and Sumy Oblast in the next couple of months here. If you want to learn more about the PBV, I have made a video about it, so I'll try and remember to provide that link as well. But yeah, an old vehicle that has proven itself to be a quite capable armored personnel carrier, even on the modern battlefield. And here we have the combat boat 90. Ukraine has 38 in total, and I believe it is 32 that Sweden has provided, and the rest are from other sources, but 38 in total. Combat boat 90, extremely fast armored assault craft designed to allow Marines to, as you can see on the image here, assault shorelines, be it the beach, rocky shore, an island, or whatever. And it can carry 18 Marines fully equipped for combat. It can come to a full stop in 2 boat lengths, so as you can imagine, it can go full tilt towards a shoreline, come to a full stop, and then deploy 18 Marines. It can carry 3 50 cal machine guns. It can carry miniguns, grenade launchers. It can carry mines and depth charges, and it can even launch anti-ship missiles. And if you have a manpad on it, it can also hunt down helicopters and fighter jets. Very capable assault craft, and should Ukraine decide to utilize the 38 they have for amphibious operations down around Kherson, Russia will more than likely be in for one hell of a surprise. And here we have the RBS-70, the Swedish manpad, a laser riding missile. So as long as the gunner keeps his target in the crosshairs, the missile will hit and take it out. And the Ukrainians have used it very successfully in the role of hunting down Russian gunships, attack helicopters, and clear the skies over many parts of the battlefield with the RBS-70, so much so that Russia has been forced to adapt its gunship tactics to avoid getting shot down by this missile, the RBS-70. And you can reload it in 2 seconds with the loader, as you can see here, being ready right next to the gunner. And all you need is 2 or 3 guys that can carry this entire system, and then they put it together in 20 seconds and you're ready to fire. Very effective, and the Russians have very few countermeasures when this missile is airborne, and it has been very effective in shooting down Russian gunships. And of course, no video that details Swedish weapons is complete without the Carl Gustaf and the AT4, or as we call it in Sweden, Pansarskott 86. These weapons are extremely successful weapon systems all across the globe. The Carl Gustaf has been in service since 1948 and has been used in combat in basically every war ever since 1950, and has taken out buildings, taken out infantry, taken out bunkers, trenches, armored vehicles, and tanks ever since it was introduced. It is a reloadable weapon, recoilless, sort of recoilless weapon system. Very effective, all depending on which round you put into it. You can dish out tremendous amounts of damage on the enemy. And of course the AT4 is a single shot version of the anti-tank version, or of the anti-tank round available for the Carl Gustaf. And Ukraine has received thousands of these weapon systems, and they have undoubtedly helped Ukraine hold many defensive positions throughout the 3 years of this war. And they have proven their worth time and time again in Ukraine, taking out armored vehicles, taking out buildings housing the Russian troops, taking out bunkers and trenches where the Russians are hiding. Incredible weapon systems. And last but not least, the NLAW. Based on the old Swedish RB56 anti-tank guided missile system. The RB56 is a wire-guided NLAW, basically with a 2-kilometer range. Works in the same way, flies in overhead or over the enemy vehicle, and then fires from above, guaranteeing a kill with a single hit. What the NLAW is a simplified version, if you can call it that, of the RB56. You remove the wire and the range is no longer 2 kilometers. The range is 500 to 800 meters. But the projectile does the same thing. It flies in over the enemy tank and fires a tandem warhead from above into the turret or the engine section, and you have a guaranteed kill as a result. And if you wonder if this weapon has been effective, during the first 6 months of the war, the NLAW was responsible for destroying a third of all destroyed Russian tanks. So a third of Russia's tank losses first 6 months was due to a single infantryman somewhere on the battlefield firing one of these things. That's a pretty decent track record, and proof enough that this is a deadly and successful and very capable weapon system that gives ordinary soldiers the ability to engage and destroy a tank with a single shot. And there you have it, a list of a bunch of Swedish weapon systems, very capable, very advanced, very deadly, following in the age-long tradition of Swedish steel messing up Russian battle plans. And as a Swede myself, I'm quite proud of the fact that all of these weapon systems are proving extremely useful for the Ukrainians on the field of battle, helping them defend their territory from Russian aggression and Russian abuse. And hopefully we will see a lot more of all of these weapon systems ending up in Ukrainian hands until the war is over and we see a Ukrainian victory. And with that said, go på marsch Ukraine and give them hell.